Do people think that some kind of greening of the U.S. economy and greening of U.S. really foreign policy priorities in some sense is a way to address some of this, is a way to really engage that military-industrial complex and sort of retool it so that it's sort of earth restorative, et cetera?
Well, Lester Brown makes the point in his book, Plan B 3.0, that the challenge of this generation is to create a new economy. And I think that's what you're talking about. Creating a new economy for the 21st century that's sustainable, that's green-based, and I think that really, if we can convince the public that there is economic opportunity in that, and I think there is, and it also avoids economic catastrophe by facing up to it. So I think we have an opportunity on there as well to talk about creating a new economy that will benefit us all.
Yeah, I mean, I think across the board we need a green policy in general.
Right.
And, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think on the one hand we need to invest in green, sustainable technologies that provide us other options, you know, for these tough choices like energy production. You know, we don't need to invest in fossil fuels. We don't need to invest in nuclear issues, which have all sorts of negative security implications, public health implications to them. But we need, you know, sustainable, renewable technologies, wind and solar and the like, and that's not happening right now. On the other hand, I think we need to change the mindset. So I think, as you say, we need a value shift.
That's Obama's words, not mine.
And that may be Obama's. but it's Gorbachev, our founder's words are that we need a value shift in how we treat the earth.
Yeah.
And I think too many of us as individuals continue to just literally trash the earth, you know, whether it's through trash or whether it's through the automobile we drive, or whether it's through our, you know, lighting usage and our heating and electricity usage in a variety of ways. We've got to have a value shift that introduces conservation and efficiency into human behavior. And that takes time. That may take a couple generations. And obviously the climate change threat, though, won't wait for that.
No.
So in the meantime, you really do need a national and international shift from the current violence-prone, energy-inefficient, militarized policies onto something very different.
Well, I think our future discussions may bring in more people who can speak to some more of the details of the economics, but yes,
just to say that I think that there's a great point embedded in all of that, because when you were talking about the need for a paradigm shift and how important it is that people get the connection between climate change and poverty and instability, and therefore we need to do something, that's a tune we've heard before, and the response that we had was militarization, counterinsurgency, you know, proxy wars across Africa and Asia and Latin America. What's going to be different now, I think, would be if we could get beyond just making the connections to having the solutions be green and democratic and open and sustainable and so forth.
Exactly.
And without that paradigm shift, I fear that what we're actually seeing with the establishment of AfricaCom and everything else is that we are falling back into our old patterns, and we don't have an alternative lobby, if you like, to the same old lobby that takes us down that path every time. And so, you know, when we start talking about solutions in this room, we have to talk about movement building. We have to talk about the truth testing of the solutions that we're putting out there so that we can really build support for them. And if you want to call that the greening of the economy, the greening of our policy and so forth, so be it. That's great. But absent that groundswell of you know, coalescing around solutions, we're gonna see the connections and we're gonna stamp on them the way we've always stamped them.
I think this discussion has actually pointed out the key way you're going to get a paradigm shift is if somebody who says we need to change the mindset, and Kevin, you mentioned Obama has said that we change the mindset, they got us into this kind of a war. But the president can propose an entirely new budget and a budget set of priorities.
That's right.
And recall the biblical verse, where your money is, there will your heart be also. And the question is if you don't set it out in the budget with a dramatic shift, then we're just on a marginal route to tinkering around with the way they do business. But it has happened in the U.S. history, because we did a dramatic budgetary shift in World War II. We outlawed the sale of automobiles for 3 years, and we converted Detroit from making vehicles
to tanks,
to basically ships, planes, tanks. In other words, they totally converted from the automobiles and trucks into something entirely different. Overnight. It can be done.
That's right.
And I would submit that the crisis, as great as the World War II crisis was, we have a crisis that is encompassing
Yeah.
the whole world
That's right.
in unprecedented ways.
So we know we can shift the paradigm towards the military-industrial complex. The question is, can we shift it back?
That's absolutely right.
Well, that's an optimistic note. I think your phrase, it can be done.